Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Stephanie, and here on Dog Mom Life it's all about my dog, my four babies, and yeah, rescue dog life, etc. And today I would like to share with you how I prepare myself for our deaf Wadi dog we adopted back in January actually, but who is due to come finally to live with us in a few weeks' time. So, all fingers crossed, please, that he can travel and that he will be with us very shortly. So, I've never had a deaf dog, and I never actually had a puppy that young, and I never had two dogs at the same time. So, yeah, so this will, I guess, be quite a challenging time. I'm hyper excited, but also, of course, right now it's kicking in like, oh my god, you're adopting a deaf dog. And I think it mainly started for me because I was not really aware of some things. So I will share with you how I got increase my awareness for what to look out for, and where I found help, where I found support, because I don't know someone with a deaf dog. So there was not someone I could talk to like in person. But I found like loads of people online who helped us via Instagram, amazing support for people who know someone here that are like a deafy as they are called, and who just helped us to get in touch and we could settle. So I wrote a list. I will have a look on my list and I will show you things I got. So one of the first things I actually got for Chalkie is I got, oops, sorry, dropped it. You see, I'm not that experienced in these things. So I got him one of these. It's from Etsy, and you can basically get them customized. So this was one I got completely customized for him, because I know that he is a bit shy. He's not really like socialized, and socialized I mean not have been meeting like loads of dogs, because he lives with 3 other dogs right now. But socialized in the sense that he's not used to things. So my husband, who lives in Oman, took him on like every Saturday, and they went, on jollies. However, he was like more or less like the first time out properly, so he's not leash trained. He is quite overwhelmed, and because he cannot hear, so he will take his time. He likes to take his time. He likes to take the time to take things in his own speed, right? So we got him this. You can put it on the leash. It's actually adjustable. So if you have like a leash that is a bit thicker, as most of ours are, you can. There's a button on both sides, so you can actually open this, or have it a bit less wide. Oh, English is by not my mother language, so I say sometimes weird things. My pronunciation is off. Sorry. Well, anyway, so we got this one. I also got him this one. It's a standard one. It's still packed in plastic as they come. So it's learning, please ignore me. Simply because in London, like, loads of people are completely dog friendly, which is really nice. But also, obviously, it's quite tough sometimes, because if you try to, it was the thing with Rambo, because he's like super excitable. So he get easily like hyped, and if people like to noises, or like, oh my god, you're so cute, or whatever, like to talk in these like high-pitched voice, he obviously would get like more and more hyped, and so it would be even more difficult to calm him down. So this didn't really help. So I got this depending on how people react to my dog. So it's not necessarily for only my dog, but for other people to react. To just give him as much space and spatial like room, I guess, for him to grow. By the way, there's an Etsy shop I will link down below. You can get them all customized. Also, because I haven't filmed a video yet about this, but Rambo had surgery a while ago, and he was limping quite badly. So I got this one too. No games allowed in recovery, simply so dog owners know that my dog is currently not allowed to play. It just might help to stop questions, or maybe like dogs coming run towards you, because often dogs here are not on the leash, and if your dog is on a leash, they might still like run up to you. And yes, we haven't used this though, because he's fine. But yeah, so this is what I got, like, to just like have like an outside kind of to create awareness, I guess, for us to just have some more space for him not to get pestered by dogs or whatever. I mean, obviously, I will socialize him even more, but I want him to have space and have time and get used to things. Basically, had the same thing with Rambo. So when I adopted him, he was already a fully grown dog. So he was about like 6 years old. Like, obviously, we don't know for sure, but he was definitely an adult already, who has never really been out properly. So his attention span was like completely, narrow. So it was like basically gone. So it was really, really difficult to keep the focus on me, so to have him not easily distracted, which is like one of the things I got these for. Then, having said that, the main thing for me is obviously to bond with Chalkie and to have him integrated in our life, but also obviously adjust everything to his needs. So we will have at the beginning, I mean, he will probably have to settle first. He, after this long flight and the journey, he might be also quite tired, so we will give him loads of space. But we will also adjust our mindset, of course, but also our daily routine. So Rambo and I have like a super laid back, quite chill routine. We know each other inside out. We can read one another's body language. We have our clues. We have our, routines, how things happen. With a puppy who's also not potty trained yet, things would be, of course, very, very different. Not saying necessarily more difficult, but it's just like a major adjustment for all of us. So yeah, we will have to check in our routines, and we'll see how this goes. So there's nothing for me, I guess, I can do too much about it, but just at the moment to see, to just prepare myself to be ready for change, which I don't know. I mean, I'm quite open to change anyway, so I think this will be all right. Let me quickly check on my list if I forget anything. Then, of course, we have loads of dog beds. Like, here's a big one. So this is where Rambo sleeps. We have one here in the corner. We have basically in every room a dog bed. So we will have some dedicated space for Chalkie, of course, as well. We will obviously also establish, rules in the house, etc. However, these are things that are not necessarily for just a deaf dog. So I'm not going into detail into them right now because I'm already talking for quite a while. So if this is something of interest for you, I'm happy to do a video on how to get them together and how things worked out and what I learned. But what I want to focus on today on this video is really about preparing myself for having, the deaf boy coming. So the other thing that I did was I got in touch with people, as I mentioned earlier. I reached out on Instagram and said, hey, I'm adopting a deaf dog. Do you know someone, what's the best way to learn sign language? Where do you get support, etc. And I got recommended a few resources. One of them that I really love is Deaf Dogs Rock. It's you can find them on Instagram, you can find them on Facebook. It's a rescue group from Australia, and they do amazing work. They also, help to remove stigma. They help to build your confidence so you can build your dog's confidence and just become a good team. And I think for me, this was really, really helpful to also just be in touch with other people. And I'm in their Facebook group, and you can ask loads of questions. You can obviously ask, how do you go about this, but you also increase your awareness of things. So apparently one of the things is that Staffies bark quite a lot. So, how do you teach a dog to not bark, or like to direct the behavior in a different way with positive reinforcement? So to, teach them when to bark, and then also teach them to stop, so you can use this. So this is really interesting, also like different sleeping patterns compared to like hearing dogs. But also one thing that I think was one of the big game changers for me was when you Google like deaf dog or deaf dog training, lots of people recommend like these vibrating collars you just put on, and if you push a button, it vibrates. So there's like no electroshocks or anything, but it still vibrates. So loads of people say, oh, there's no harm in having a vibrating collar. It's a great way to get your dog's attention. And I was like, oh yeah, it makes kind of sense to me, right? Until I joined these groups and I realized, oh, it's actually just weird because, your dog is being like interrupted in whatever he or she is doing. And this kept me like thinking, and I'm completely like not putting a vibrating collar onto Chalkie. So we would try to, keep his attention by playing games, which I will go into next. But yes, I will try to not have the vibrating collar on for him because yeah, I totally do want him to check in with me on a more natural basis, if that makes sense. It worked with Rambo, and it was actually quite a game changer for us, so it just made my life so much easier. By now he's checking in all the time before he's crossing streets. Even if a dog is coming up to him, he checks in with me if it's okay to play with the dog. He checks in, you know, how to react if it's a friendly situation. He checks in, you know, he gives away control like quite a lot. So yeah, I would definitely like to have Chalkie, you know, have the natural checking in as well. So in order to get him check in, I joined a while ago actually, not necessarily for Chalkie, just in general, because I thought, you know, why not join a dog training kind of challenge, because it sounded fun. I haven't, must say though, I haven't used this for Rambo because most of the things they train I did with him without actually enrolling this challenge. So it was quite a natural kind of thing, I think, for me, in order to, you know, that just happened, like natural training that just developed or evolved. Because for me, the only way to get his attention was by being positive and positive reinforcement, you know, making things fun. And it's basically what they build their calls on as well. Yeah, so do you remember the one? Yeah, so the course that I joined is called Sexier Than a Squirrel, and it basically helps you in, I think it's 30 days, to get your dog's attention. So they play games. It's all food driven, so they ditch the ball at the beginning, where you it's, by the way, quite funny because most dogs don't like to be hugged, but this one, um, yeah, is the only, like, the first dog I actually had, and the only dog I knew so far until I met other buddies who enjoys that much, you know, body touch. Yeah, so the sorry, got distracted. So the course is called Sexier Than a Squirrel, and it's like 30-day challenge. So every day you get a new video which you can watch on repeat. You have the course forever, where they ditch the ball. So basically, the food allowance your dog has per day is what you feed. So basically, it says that you are like not feeding much more than you actually would otherwise, but you just basically feed your dog its daily allowance, but in a more fun way. So you basically make feeding more fun, which will then help to, you know, just have a positive reinforcement, or like have a positive bonding session by playing games or being more adventurous than you might have been otherwise. So we will do this. So we'll play these games with Chalkie. It's also like, you know, when I say playing games, it's like really short ones. So you can do this like a couple of minutes in one session, and then, you know, do something else, have them rest, and then do 5 more minutes in the afternoon, and then, you know, 5 more minutes in the evening or whatever. So you can do this everywhere. They also learn, you know, how to walk through your legs, etc. Like do this like kind of like aids, which he does already. So we, you know, he, as I said, like, we train loads of things that are in this course on a quite natural basis. So I think we will be all right anyways, but yeah, it just makes me feel better if I know, like, you know, there's a training program, and we're gonna use this like from, you know, step by step from the beginning. And then I got myself on the weekend actually this book. So this book here, I will link everything down below as well that I just mentioned. It's a complete guide to owning a deaf dog, and this book is, I think, from 2020, so it's quite a new one, and I think there's a few books have been just, oh, it's actually 2021, so it's from this year, and I think by now there's quite a few books out there. There's another one, I would see how far I get with this one, but there's another one for, like, you know, learning sign language or learning commands based on signs. Which again I also use for Rambo quite a lot because I simply didn't want to shout through the park or whatever. He's getting comfy here. Can you see this? Yes, you're like comfy on, not in his bed, but always on me. So yeah, this book goes into like some detail why, you know, why deafness happens in dogs and everything like this, but also gives some more detailed information. It's about choosing to adopt a deaf dog, where to adopt deaf dogs from, preparing a home for a deaf dog. It also has a chapter on training and communicating with your deaf dog. So it's American Sign Language. It's basically the go-to one. So wherever you have, communication tips, it's usually ASL, which stands for American Sign Language. There are some commands in there already. So this is, I think, quite a good starting point. Then it goes into, living with a deaf dog, promoting comfort and emotional security for your deafie, understanding personality traits, health, etc. So for me, I think the main thing was, how to basically raise my awareness, or like how to talk to your dog, how to teach them to listen. It's also things like managing problem behavior, so barking, playing rough, or unwanted chewing, which is obviously the same thing that is like happening in a not deaf dog and a hearing dog. It's the same things, right? However, I feel like, especially with, like, for example, Rambo, I can completely guide him with just my voice only, which obviously wouldn't work with a deaf dog. So yeah, I think this is quite interesting. What I wanted to show you quickly is actually, here's some, it's probably not too detailed, but there's also some commands, where you like come. This is in a command we, like, both my husband practice in Oman, like, like come, sit, etc. We also signed Chalkie up for doggy, like puppy classes. So he has learned like a very few like basic obedience commands already, which obviously need to be practiced more. But so yeah, some of the commands have already been used, but I just wanted to, get my head around, also feel more safe by just having some guidance. But also, if you want to train your deaf dog, sorry for sitting awkwardly here, but I have the boy here. So if you want to train your deaf dog, what I found really helpful is like all the training videos. Deaf Dogs Rock, and there's some trainers online for deaf dogs. So you will find on YouTube some videos on how to do things, or on the webpage, which is just like really, really helpful. So if you go to the Deaf Dogs Rock page, like their homepage, you will find heaps and heaps of information, which, yeah, to me was a massive game changer. So just knowing, you're not out there on your own was just so helpful. And I think, of course, you are on your own, kind of like, because I mean, you live with your dogs. But what I feel is, if you adopt a rescue dog, it can be sometimes challenging, and especially if you have someone who can simply relate to what you're going through, or like if you have a deaf dog, it just helps if someone else, helps you to, is there with you, who understands what you're talking about. This is basically what we did so far. So the other thing is obviously that I signed him up for puppy class, as I mentioned, and because my husband lives in Oman, we already had the advantage of, like, one person of us has already met him, so we could meet him in person before we said, okay, we adopt him, despite me already being crazily in love with him, just seeing pictures. But also, I'm in constant contact with the rescue group. I'm also in constant contact with his foster mommy. So yeah, they give us some guidance on what he's like, what he likes, what they think he needs most, what his behavior is like, what his personality is like, etc. So I think we're really, really lucky in that sense, because this is something you wouldn't necessarily have if you adopt a dog. However, I'm pleased that I adopted him when he was more or less like a month old. So he was tiny, and I still had to wait for 5 months to, for him to become home. So there's a long time period in between. But yeah, I'm mainly just super excited. We also had a chat with the trainer, like from the puppy class, the trainer who has met Chalkie for, I think, 6 weeks it was, on a weekly basis, and yeah, who also gave us some guidance, who gave us some tips, and so I think we're prepared. We will figure everything out once he's here, right? Rambo will teach him loads of things. I'm 100% sure of this, and yes, I really am so excited. I cannot wait, and I will document also the journey on, how the training goes. Just also, well, I mean, for you, of course, but also for me to see the progress, because I think it's very easy to forget how far you've come when you have a rescue dog. Um, so, yeah, that's it from us for today. We will go out, have a little walk now, and I will see you next Monday. Thank you for watching, and if you have a deaf dog or know someone who has, and have maybe other tips for me, please leave them in the comments below, because I'm, always looking for great resources, etc. And sharing is caring, right? Thank you so much, and we will see you very soon. Thank you. Take care. Bye.